Before this video begins, I just want to give you a quick heads up that this was my first time using a lapel mic in a really long time, and it was a brand new mic, and we were trying to get it to make sure it sounds good. Unfortunately, we didn't have headphones on the camera, so unfortunately, you're going to hear me hitting the mic a bunch of times. I apologize for that severely. That will be fixed for the next episode, but I still believe that this is a good show for you guys to see, so please excuse that, and thank you so much for watching. Fuck this! To our newest show on YouTube, Muskets in Media. I am your host, The Colonial, and what we will be doing today is showing you how 16th century weaponry is shown via media. This can include video games, movies, etc. Today, we will be talking about Amazon Games' newest release, New World, an action MMORPG game that I have actually previously covered on another video. Go check that out. What's awesome about this game is that the weapons in it are portrayed very well. This is including the musket, there's sword and shield, spears, and all that good stuff. We're going to be primarily focusing on the musket for this episode, as it's a very unique design that they went with to make this work in their game. Obviously, they don't do everything correctly, or else we wouldn't be here. Let's go ahead and take a look at New World's musket and see how it is different from real life and how it fits in their world. So, when it comes to the musket, let's take a look at it right now. As you can see, it's got similarities to real life, but then they also put their own little twist to it. If you look closely at the locking mechanism, you can see that it really resembles a wheel lock, which was created by a watchsmith. And basically what it was is it took a bunch of metal and it spun it around really fast on the pyrite to create a spark, which would ignite the gunpowder and shoot the lead ball out of the barrel. What's very interesting about the design that they chose is they added a lever to it. So if you look at the animation, the way that it seems to work is you would fire the weapon, you would put in a little bit of gunpowder, and you would crank the lever, which seems to set the lock mechanism back in place. Very interesting design for it, but there are some issues. First off, you don't see a guy load the ball into the barrel. You don't see any actions on the top of the gun right here. You don't see him putting any additional gunpowder down here and ramming it all down to make sure it's securely fit. With that being said, basically what would happen to this weapon is, yeah, he puts some gunpowder in there, but nothing's going to come out, and he's basically going to get what's called a flash in the pan. Now, what a flash in the pan is, if you look right here, you'll see this is obviously just a toy. We're working on getting a replica later on. If he put in powder just right here, all he's going to do is create a spark, and nothing's going to fire. So, essentially, New World, as good as it is for the reload time that you establish in the game, your gun's technically not firing anything, and honestly, it sometimes feels like that. Why don't we talk about how the gun works in-game versus enemies and AI? Basically, the musket had to get a buff immediately, which I kind of found crazy. You're shooting a 50 caliber lead ball, and that shit's gonna hurt. I understand it's an MMORPG, but for me, the Colonial who has ventured into Valley Forge and stuck around during the smallpox craze, I would like my gun to be accurate, and that's including the reloading. Would have been great if we had these guns where, you know, we could fire 8 shots a minute instead of possibly 2 in the freezing weather. Speaking of accuracy, this gun apparently never misfires, or at least very rarely as it seemed to have misfired like 3 times throughout my whole playthrough of New World. I have about 60 hours of it, and I mained Musket the entire time. I don't know if that was a bug, but I haven't seen it since the latest patch in 2021. So I would have to believe that this musket apparently never misfires. You know how great we could have used that in Lexington? The next thing I noticed about this is that in this game, there's other types of enemies. As you saw in the beginning, you can be a Knight Templar, you can be a mage, and you can have a bow and arrow. First off, let's talk about the fucking bow real quick. It's going to turn into a rant video real quick. That bow stuns you every time they hit you and has a faster fire rate. And that just kind of shocks me. Because if that bow is going to stun me as if I actually got hit, then the fucking lead ball should take your fucking leg off. Point is, you need to figure out what's going on with the bow. There's a reason that the gun's still around and not the bow from modern day. Next thing I want to talk about is the armors and weapons that tanks use, especially. Looking at you, Tyler. Basically, I understand how weapons and metal work, and I understand that steel plate can stop a bullet, potentially. But there has been multiple tests, and a simple flintlock pistol should be piercing a chest plate. What do you think a fucking rifle is going to do? Now, there are some shields that are too thick for bullets to go through. We have seen that, including some helmets where they'll actually dent it. You're going to have a dent in your head, too, but it did not go through. I'll give you that credit. Point is, the musket feels very underpowered in this game. There's a reason we don't have knights anymore, and there's a reason we still use firearms to this day and not bows and arrows. You'll probably get that looked at Amazon games. Of course, these aren't actually real complaints. I understand this is a video game, but I find it crazy that you're going to have a rapid-fire musket, and I feel like I can't do anything to stop these tanks. Here's a clip of me fighting a tank right now.
All right, here we go. Oh my god. I switched to my strong musket too. Oh my god. I need a heal, sorry. Oh yeah, it don't matter. I'm putting that in more than anything. And there we go.
Overall, it's a great gun design. Would never work in real life. Overall, it's a very interesting design. I like the levering of the gun. I'm not just here to rant about it. Amazon Games did really good with designing their own musket. It allows for rapid fire in the game, so you're not shooting once. Although I might have preferred it. Could you imagine if the musket, you had to reload it realistically, but it did, I think my musket does like 10,000 damage at level 40. Could you imagine if it did like 50,000 damage, but if you miss that shot, you need to switch to your main weapon? I think that would honestly be cool. At least the gun's accurate to animals, because almost all animals died in one shot, except for the bears, but that's about it. Anyway, guys, if you're into action RPGs and you prefer using firearms instead of the pussy-ass bow, go ahead and go check out New World. This isn't obviously an ad, but I wanted to get an in-depth analysis on how the gun is working in media. We will be looking at more games and other stuff like that in the coming future. This is obviously the first episode. We're still experimenting and getting better stuff. Replica, hopefully next month. Hopefully we'll also have different areas for studio work, and we'll continue to improve. But I appreciate you guys watching and checking out how the series is going to be. This is a project I've been planning for months, and I'm finally happy to get it in the air. Be sure to check out my other series, A Look Into, which is basically video essays on games, giving you first looks at all that. And definitely check out next month when we release Muskets and Media Episode 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my camera crew. And thank you to Morgear for letting me use his house. Go check out his Twitch and YouTube. Links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was at least interesting to you. And we will continue to improve it for the next episode. Thank you all, and have a great day.